right, ninjas, ready to share with you guys the iron neck. This thing's pretty interesting, so check it out. So this is the iron neck. I first heard about this probably like you guys on Joe Rogan. Joe was raving about this thing like crazy and just talking about it nonstop. And I was super curious because I've had my own share of neck and back injuries. You know,
you should get one for the
51 years old, been doing martial arts for over 40 years, jiu-jitsu and other martial arts, but I specifically had a neck injury late 90s, was in a jiu-jitsu tournament, catch a guy in a triangle choke. He picks me up over his head. I know what you're gonna say, why didn't you let go of the triangle? Well, you know, you're not allowed to slam people from triangles, people, right? So I wasn't thinking I was gonna get slammed. The guy jumped in the air, slammed me on my neck. Nowadays, you get disqualified for that, but back then it was a referee's warning or something. But I ended up with a bulging disc, and my neck was pretty jacked up from that. In fact, it really caused a lot of issues just nonstop for years. It's part of the reason that I am so flexible actually with my neck and spine is I've overcompensated that, like just knowing that I wanted to have a flexible, good range of motion with my neck and spine. But here's the thing. I just realized now that my neck's really not that strong. Like you think doing jujitsu and grappling, like you're making your neck stronger. But I think what you also start to realize when you start working with the iron neck is that your neck has actually been compromised over the years. We tend to abuse our neck in jiu-jitsu. My professor, Nick Grigoriadis, always says, you have one neck, so take care of it. And so I was super curious about the iron neck, started watching all the videos about this thing, contacted these amazing folks. They came up with this. It was a former football player, and he came up with this device to help strengthen and give more range of motion with the neck because he's seen a lot of guys ending up with CTE injuries and concussion injuries. And he wanted to really, help with that. All right, ninjas, so I want to talk a little bit about the physical component, the device here. Then I'll put it on and I'll do some exercises with it and I'll give you some of my feedback. When you first get this thing, it's pretty like solid. Like it's you can tell like you've got something it's well made. And what blows my mind with this is something that somebody literally invented and had created. Like this did not exist before. Think about that. That's pretty wild, right? It's not like someone came up with some new exercises or something that's not tangible. This is like a physical, tangible thing. So it's got like this nice foam thing here. Now this is pretty interesting here. So this is the Iron Neck Pro. This is their Pro model. This is the most expensive one. I don't want to say expensive as if it's not worth it because it really is worth it. But it has this Velcro inside so you can add these thicker attachments if somebody has a smaller head, which I love that for here at our school because I've noticed that people have different sized heads. You don't normally notice that so much, but when you're fitting people with this, you do notice that people do have a different size noggin. When I first saw this thing, I thought it was crazy looking too. I was like, wow, that's going to go on your head? Like that looks nuts. It reminds me of Doc Brown in Back to the Future. Remember that crazy thing on his head? But I'm not one of those people that like sees these devices and I don't want to wear that because it looks weird or something like that. I'm going to put this phone back in here. All right, so that just sticks right in there like that. And then you have a strap that goes across the top for the top of your head. So this goes against the forehead and this goes against the back of the head. And then you have this really nicely made bungee. It's not like a cheap one. I like that it's wrapped too. So the actual bungee is not exposed. It feels durable. And so this can hook around like a pole. It can actually attach to doorways. You can actually do it in your house without ever adding anything or putting even a hole in the wall, which I love. The way that we did it here at our academy is we added these hooks into the wall and they have washers on the back so they don't pull through. And you want to be able to hook it up at something like head level. So the device itself, I would say, is really well made. And what's interesting too on the top here, so this rotates around all the way around, which is pretty cool. And it's very smooth. And it has this little dial here so you can actually adjust it and you can add resistance. See how that's getting harder to turn? So imagine trying to turn your neck. So what I like about that is you never really outgrow the thing. Even though this right here, if you go all the way back, it gives 50 pounds of resistance. With the dial, you can add a lot more, which is kind of cool. All right, so that's kind of the physical device. Well, I want to talk about here the pump too, because this is pretty wild. So there's a little pump here. This thing fills with air and it actually conforms to your head. So you can pump it up here, like the Reebok pump, like the tennis shoes back in the day. And then there's a little release button there too. So that's the physical device. It's pretty well built. We're very well made. a nice quality. I think this would last really well. They have a really cool, all right, Ninja. So now I'm gonna talk a little bit about, I'm gonna put the device on and see how it feels and kind of show you how it works. It has this cool little skull cap here, goes on your head. And the reason for this, I really believe, is it prevents it from like pulling on your hair. Like if you don't have any hair on your head, and you might not actually need this, what we use at our school here is we've got these cool cafeteria lady hats, so that way we're not, you know, sharing germs, and we disinfect it each time too. So, but I'm just gonna put the skull cap on here. If you have long hair, I recommend pulling your hair down into like, you know, a low kind of bun or something like that. If it's on top of your head like a ninja, you're not gonna feel like a ninja with this on your head. So I would go with the low in there. This part here, this goes on the back of the head, and you wanna fit it from the back to the front here. So I'm gonna pull it down into my head here. Try not to get this in front of my eyes. And if it starts pulling down to your eyes, you kind of just give it a little kind of flip up right there. And I want this kind of flat. And you have this strap up here on top that goes across the top here. Yeah, right here. And this gets Velcroed across. See how that works right there? You wouldn't want that to Velcro to your hair. That would suck, right? Like if you have hair. And then it's got to be nice and flat in your head. So this feels pretty good. I used the thinnest foam because apparently I must have a really big head. I didn't realize my head was so big. And no, I don't sleep on a giant pillow or anything like that. Just have a big head. All right, so this gets snapped in right here. Yeah, just like that. We pull this nice and tight. So that feels pretty good. And then you want to hook it in at about your height level. So this works out about perfect for me. I'm 6'1". And then the last thing I do is I give it some air. And that just kind of takes the whole thing and it goes whoosh to your head. The first few times I put it on, it wasn't like the most comfortable, but that was mostly, I believe, because I didn't have it fitted properly. Now that I have like the right foam thickness, and I've done it a few times, I feel like I can pop it on pretty quick. It's really not that bad on your head. Like it's not that comfortable. I know it looks probably pretty crazy, but that doesn't really bother me. I'm working out, and if you have a home model, like who cares if you're in your house doing this thing, right? So it feels pretty good on my head right here. It's tight. I don't feel like it's pulling off my head. And see, now I'm going away from the wall, and I got some resistance here with this bungee. It may not look like there's anything really going on right now, but I'm already feeling like the pull in my neck right now, for sure. And I can feel it like pulling against my spine. And you know what I noticed that I really love about this thing is the amount of core training you get. Like it's insane. Like when you get done with this, you're like, holy crap, my abs are like really feeling this right now. So you get a ton of resistance in both directions. Same thing here. Lots of resistance. See, all the way down. This is what's so freaking cool about this thing is look how I can rotate my head completely. Look at that. Now what's cool about that, as you're rotating, you start to notice these, I don't know, I call them weak spots, where I don't know, maybe I've been injured in that spot. The first day I used it, I noticed on my upper right part of my shoulder some really serious tightness. And after just doing a workout that first day, I noticed a huge difference the next day in my neck. And I really believe that was because I was finally getting some really good blood flow to that area. And now using this thing going on about 3 weeks now, 2.5 weeks, I've been using it almost probably too much. I want to use it like every day because I'm just obsessed with the thing now. I've noticed a big difference in my neck and spine. Maybe it doesn't look bigger now, but it definitely feels like more mobility, and I'm not feeling all of these problems I was having in my neck before. So now here's how it kind of works. Now what's cool is, and this is one of the things I love about it, you know, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, the price is pretty high on this thing. Like, that's not cheap. But if you think about it, like, imagine, you know, like going to the chiropractor. What do you spend on, you know, care for your neck and your back? And like, you know, my professor said you have what but one neck. And if you're using it all the time and abusing it all the time, people are choking you, grabbing you, and your neck and your spine, and it's that whole chain down your back. If it's really bothering you, then, you know, I think it's worth it. And with the home model that they have, the home one, it's really not that expensive. So I think it's a really, really good investment, and I would definitely buy one of these. The other thing I really dig about it is they have an entire online resource library of videos, like even just on YouTube and on their website too. So the way that we have it set up here is you can click on a video, the video starts playing and it walks you through the entire thing. So you know you're doing it safely. And I love that I can see someone else doing it too, so I know what the form actually looks like. So you have all of these great exercises, spins, and you could do this cool like little like chicken thing here. It's kind of cool. I love that. I've been really digging the figure eights here. I find that's really amazing. And then the other cool thing is you can add resistance bands to the whole thing, which is kind of cool. So on top of in weights and everything like that, so you could have your resistance bands while you're doing the iron neck, which is pretty awesome. So you have all that cool stuff, and they have an entire system set up of bands and different ways of exercising and how to use weights with the iron neck. So my opinion is that it's well worth it. I would absolutely recommend this for anyone. It works really well. It works as advertised, but even better than that. And when you put it on and try it, you're going to be like, holy cow, this thing is amazing. I've been putting it on my students here at the school for the last 2.5 weeks. Every single person that has used it has been raving about it. And when they get done, they're like, wow, that's an amazing workout. And I've got people coming in here every day just getting in line to try to use this thing. So it's an awesome device, well worth the investment. Remember, you have but one neck, so take care of it. Os.